in order to start looking for a trade, welcome Christian, how are you? I know you're here from Spain, is to look at, I always start by looking at the economic calendar, because that lets me know what is going to go on today that's going to affect the markets, and also what happened earlier today that has affected the markets. I do this before I start looking at the news reports, and everything else that's going on out there. Okay, so I pulled up the iOptions economic calendar. Can everybody see that on their screen? Let me know. Just type in on your screen. Let me know that you can see it all right. No problems. Okay, now we can see the screen real quickly. The first thing that happened, and this is only because it's released by a computer, is the retail sales monitor in England. It affects the GBP. It came out exactly at target at -3. Now what we have to remember is when we're looking at an economics calendar, it's not telling us whether things are good or bad. What it's telling us is what the markets are expecting. So if the market is expecting something to be bad and it's already factored into the market, the actual report, when you read it, can be very negative, but because that's what the forecast was, it doesn't really affect the markets. Sure, it affects the economy, but it doesn't affect the markets because it came out where it was in comparison to the forecast. That's something that's very, very important to remember. Okay, Australia had an interesting day earlier this morning. I did see them because when I wake up in the morning, they're already finished trading just about. Their current account came in below forecast. Let me circle that for you. The Australian dollar is a unique thing at the moment. It's not trading very strongly when it really should be. And it's just waiting for something to push it up, and it's going to take off. It's a good currency to be keeping an eye on. Okay, the average cash earnings, which came out in Japan, and that came out way above forecast. Okay. I'm sorry, the current account for Australia came out slightly under. And current account is what the government owes to compared to what the government took in, or pensions and stuff like that. The average cash account, the average cash earnings is what the average employee took home in Japan, and that came out ahead of the markets. So that was a positive push for the yen. After that, we're looking at the important thing that came out today was the interest rate decision from the the Reserve Bank of Australia. Last month, they surprised everybody that all the markets had factored in that they were going to reduce, because they've been out on a program reducing interest, and they were all factoring in a drop of 25 basis points when the RBA held its rates. Well, that opened up a huge trading opportunity on that day. Well, this meeting, they held the rates, but that's what was expected. After that, we can go real fast to GBP, which is a housing report. It came out under, and so that had a negative effect on the pound. The next is Euro GBP, and that was really being waited for by the market, because with the Greek rescue and all the crisis going on in Europe, everybody's hoping for some positive signs, but it came in exactly at forecast. So it really would have no effect on the market, so to speak. So there's really nothing in the economics calendar that's jumped out at us today. Now, later today, the PMI in Canada will be coming out. But it's been a relatively quiet week on the economic front. There's two things that have been weighing down the markets. That is a lot of kind of lackluster small reports out of the U.S. that aren't motivating the U.S. dollar. The other thing was the Chinese premier came out the other day and reduced GDP or growth for China, which has a big, big effect on the global markets. So they're not growing, and they're a big economy, or they are growing, but they're reducing their growth. means it's going to be it has a big effect on all the surrounding economies. And lastly, today is the 6th. 2 days from now, March 8th, is the ultimate deadline date for Greece to satisfy all their bondholders or be able to pay out the money to any other bondholders to avoid default. The 8th is the final deadline. And the markets are very worried because everything is not finished, and they want everything buttoned up before the 8th, because anything can happen at that point. We don't know now if they're going to trigger CDS payouts. We don't know if they're going to have to enforce the new law forcing people to take the payouts. So the markets have a little bit of weakness where that's concerned. So that weakness is creating probably one of the better trades in the market today. And that's going to be trading the euro against anything. We might go look at the euro against the GBP, because the GBP had 2 results out today, one on forecast and the housing index under forecast. The pound has been doing relatively better against the euro especially, and against the dollar. So let's take a quick look at what's going on in the markets. So as we can see, we're going to take a look right here at the euro-US dollar is continuing to fall, and that's what we were just saying. The weakness is coming from the worries about the euro and the eurozone. The GBP USD is showing the pound dropped a little bit this morning, probably on those 2 economic reports. The yen, the US dollar yen, the dollar had some weakness against the yen this morning. It is down ever so slightly. The Swiss franc is not even worth wasting the time. The Australian dollar actually dipped down. It was trading up as high as almost 108 the other day. It's been dropping down steadily. And I don't know why. The Canadian dollar has been relatively holding it close to $1 even. So in the short-term live trading arena, which binary option, you got to remember, is not long-term Forex options. You're buying small, short increments of time. So you need things that are moving and active, not necessarily trending up, trending down, volatile, or whatever else, but you need markets that are moving. This week, because of a lack of data and the fact it's midweek, and all the markets are sitting waiting for a couple things this week. The ECB will announce its interest rate, and the ADP jobs report is coming out, and then followed by the actual non-farms report on Friday. And the markets are kind of sitting and waiting for that. Natural gas fell the other day. It's way down. Gold's down. I'll take us over here to look at some commodities real quickly. So gold is all way down at 1687. It's down 1595. Just today, it's been dropping. It was holding it, trading as much as 73 was the high, which only made sense. It was way too high, mostly because I think investors were still very worried about Greece and Iran. Iran is still a problem, but it looks like it's being handled. The oil is coming down slowly because the supply disruption is getting past us, because OPEC is pumping out enough oil to offset that. With Chinese GDP being down, they're going to be using less consumption. Okay. Natural gas is at 237.7. It was trading as high as 280 just a week ago. The only viable trades here for binary options to trade on IOP would be gold, because it's steadily falling, and we might be able to get a peak. It might pimp up and then drop down, so we might be able to get a little short 15-minute trade in. Crude oil could be an interesting trade because it's been steadily going down, and I think it's going to continue. So That's our recap. So we have the Euro GBP, we have the Euro US dollar, we have the GBP USD, we have crude oil, or we have gold. Why don't you all type in your screens and tell me what you think we should trade today? Can you just type in there and join me and tell me what we think? Come on, somebody give me some direction. Otherwise, you're going to have to make a trade just with me. While we're here, we're going to talk about the iOptions new trade, which is a good way to spend a few minutes while you're bored. It's becoming very popular. It's called the 60-second trade. It's up on the screen in front of you. 60-second trade allows you to use some skill, some knowledge to make a quick prediction of what is going to happen very quickly in the markets. So if you know a report's coming out, or you see gold is flipped up or flipped down, and it's going to it's going to react differently, you can trade it very, very fast. So if you see a blip in the screen, so let's take a real quick look at the Euro US dollar on 60-second trading. And so we can see that the euro over the last short while is trended up. My firm belief, the euro, all in all, over the next 90 days is going to end up at the 130, 129 level. But it's pushed up pretty high, but it shouldn't be up that high. Let's take a little 5-minute spin here. And while we're talking, we're going to see where the euro is going to go, see if we can make up a couple dollars. Okay, I'm waiting for you all to tell me what you think we should trade. A lot of people out there, but very few answers. Let's see, Paul, you want gold or oil or indexes? That's giving me a big choice. Lydia, how about Lydia? Christian, give me an answer. What would you like to trade today? Because we're going to have to start trading in a minute or two. Okay, we're going to go, Lydia, okay, Euro GBP, good one. Let's take a look at what's happening with the Euro GBP real quickly, and then we're going to go make a trade and see what we can do. Euro GBP. Look at that chart. Now what we're looking at is the Euro GBP on an hourly chart. Let's take it down to a 15-minute chart, see what's been happening very last few minutes. Well, Christian, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Is we're all still thinking, but there's really no trades in the market to make today, and sometimes that's the best trade decision you can make. If you just sit back and say, there's no trade, and you don't trade today, means you didn't lose any money today. Unless you're an institutional trader, there's no reason you have to make a trade. You don't lose any money when you don't trade. Nobody's forcing you to trade, and you should never force the markets. So sometimes your best trade is exactly that. Say, not really sure, don't know what. You know what? I'll start looking at it for tomorrow because there's nothing appealing right now. Now, if we take a look at the Euro GBP, let me just change this. I hate. Okay. Now we can do. Okay. What we're looking at is the Euro GBP peaked at 83.47, dipped all the way down here the other day to 83.21. Is trading at 83.26 right now. It's at a very low bottom. Okay, there's a good chance it's going to peak up somewhere before the markets close today. It may not sustain that trade, but it's going to move up from here. There's no reason for the GBP or the euro to be depressed today. So it might be something that we might consider, especially just for a small $10 trade. Let's see what happened on our 60-second trade. look at that. In this little conversation, we made 2 trades on the 60-second trade, and we invested $10